1. CISA, Certified Information Systems Auditor, the globally recognized certification for IT audit control and security professionals administered by ISACA. 2. ISACA CISA, Information Systems Audit and Control Association, the non-profit organization that manages the CISA certification and sets global IT governance standards. 3. ES Audit, Information Systems Audit, an independent examination of IT systems, controls, and processes to determine compliance accuracy and security. Audit Charter, a formal document authorizing the internal audit function, defining its scope, authority, responsibility, and independence. Chart 5. Audit Universe, the complete inventory of all auditable entities within an organization used to plan and prioritize audit coverage. 6. Audit Plan, a strategic document outlining the audits to be performed, objectives, scope, timing, and resources for a given period. 7. Audit Scope, the defined boundary of an audit, specifying which systems, processes, and time periods will be examined. 8. Audit Objective, a specific goal the auditor aims to achieve during an audit, such as verifying control effectiveness or compliance. 9. Audit Evidence, information gathered during an audit to support findings and conclusions must be sufficient, reliable, and relevant. 10. Audit Finding, an identified control weakness, discrepancy, or non-compliance discovered during an audit. 11. Audit Report, a formal document communicating the audit scope, objectives, findings, recommendations, and management responses. 12. Management Response, an organization's formal reply to audit findings, including agreed corrective actions and target completion dates. 13. Follow-up Audit, a subsequent review to verify that previously identified control deficiencies have been adequately remediated. 14. Internal Audit, an independent objective assurance function within an organization examining controls, governance, and risk management. 15. External Audit, an audit conducted by an independent third party outside the organization, providing an unbiased assessment. 16. Risk-based auditing, an approach prioritizing audit resources on areas with the highest risk to the organization. 17. Control Objective, a statement describing the desired result or purpose of implementing a specific internal control. 18. General Controls, IT controls that apply across all systems and applications such as access control, change management, and operations. 19. Application Controls, controls embedded within specific software applications to ensure accuracy, completeness, and authorization of transactions. Input Controls, application controls validating data accuracy and completeness as it enters a system. 1. Processing Controls, application controls, ensuring transactions are processed accurately and completely without duplication or omission. 22. Output Controls, application controls, verifying that processed data is distributed accurately and only to authorized recipients. 23. Preventive Control, a control designed to stop an error or security incident from occurring in the first place. 24. Detective Control, a control designed to identify errors or incidents after they have occurred. Corrective Control, a control designed to remediate damage and restore normal operations after an incident is detected. 26. Compensating Control, an alternative control implemented when a primary control cannot be applied that provides equivalent protection. 27. Control risk. The risk that internal controls will fail to prevent or detect a material misstatement or control weakness. Inherent risk. The risk that exists in the absence of any internal controls based solely on the nature of the activity. 29. Residual risk. The remaining risk after controls have been applied and risk mitigation measures implemented. The audit risk. The risk that an auditor will draw incorrect conclusions from audit work, composed of inherent control and detection risk. Gun. Detection risk. The risk that auditors will fail to detect a material misstatement through their testing procedures. Chapter 32. Sampling. Selecting a representative subset of data or transactions for testing rather than examining every item. 33. Statistical sampling. Using mathematical probability to select samples, allowing results to be projected across the full population. Substantive testing. Audit procedures directly verifying the accuracy of transactions and balances in financial or operational data. Compliance testing. Audit procedures confirming that controls are operating as designed and following defined policies. 36. Walkthrough. An audit technique tracing a transaction from initiation to completion to understand and verify the control process. Observation. Watching a process or procedure being performed to confirm it. Occurs as described in Policies. 38. Inquiry, gathering information through interviews and questions with process owners and control operators. Confirmation. Obtaining direct written responses from third parties, verifying account balances, transactions or agreements. 40. COBIT. Control objectives for information and related technologies. The ISACA framework for IT governance and management, providing control objectives aligned to business goals. COSO. Committee of Sponsoring Organizations. The internal control framework defining 5 components of effective internal control. 42. ITIL. Information Technology Infrastructure Library. The IT Service Management Framework, providing best practices for delivering IT services. 43. Segregation of duties, dividing key tasks among different individuals to prevent any single person from having complete control over a critical process. 4. IT governance, the framework of leadership processes and structures, ensuring IT aligns with and supports organizational strategy. 45. SDLC, Systems Development Life Cycle, the structured process for planning, designing, developing, testing, implementing, and maintaining information systems. Feasibility study. An analysis conducted during the SDLC initiation phase, assessing whether a proposed system is technically, financially, and operationally viable. 47. Requirements definition. Documenting what a system must do, including functional and non-functional requirements before design begins. System design. The phase of the SDLC translating business requirements into technical specifications and architecture. 49. Testing phase. Structured evaluation of a system to verify it meets requirements, identifies defects, and confirms security before deployment. D. User acceptance testing, end-user validation, confirming that a system meets business requirements and is fit for production use. 51. Change management. A structured process for requesting, evaluating, approving, implementing, and reviewing changes to IT systems. Change Advisory Board. A group responsible for evaluating and approving significant changes to IT infrastructure and applications. Configuration management. Maintaining documented records of system configurations and changes throughout the asset lifecycle. 54. Patch management. The process of identifying, testing, and applying software updates to address known vulnerabilities. Incident management. The process for detecting, logging, classifying, responding to, and resolving IT service disruptions. 56. Problem management. Identifying and eliminating the root causes of recurring incidents to prevent future disruptions. 57. Business continuity plan. A documented strategy for maintaining critical business operations during and after a significant disruption. 58. Disaster recovery plan. Detailed procedures for restoring IT systems, data, and operations following a major incident or disaster. 59. RTO, recovery time objective. The maximum acceptable downtime before a system or process must be restored after a disruption. 60. RPO, recovery point objective. The maximum acceptable amount of data loss measured as time elapsed since the last backup. BCP testing. Periodic exercises validating that business continuity plans will function effectively during an actual disruption. 62. Tabletop exercise. A discussion-based BCP test where participants walk through a hypothetical disaster scenario to identify gaps. 63. Parallel testing. Running the recovery system simultaneously with the production system to validate functionality without disrupting operations. Full interruption test. The most comprehensive BCP test that shuts down the primary system to fully activate the recovery site. 65. Third-party risk. Risks introduced by vendors, suppliers, and partners who have access to organizational systems or data. 66. Vendor management. The process of evaluating, selecting, contracting with, and monitoring third-party service providers. 67. SLA, service level agreement. A contractual commitment defining the performance standards and responsibilities of a service provider. 68. Data classification. Categorizing data based on sensitivity and business value to apply appropriate protection controls. 69. Data governance. Policies, processes, and standards ensuring data is accurate, available, secure, and compliant throughout its life cycle. 70. Data retention. Policies defining how long data must be kept before it can be securely destroyed based on legal and business requirements. 71. Data disposal. Securely destroying data and media to prevent unauthorized recovery of sensitive information. 72. Privacy. Legal and ethical obligations governing the collection, use, storage, and sharing of personal information. 3. Access control. Mechanisms restricting system and data access to authorized users based on defined permissions. Logical access controls. Technical controls limiting system access to authenticated and authorized users and processes. 75. Physical access controls, barriers and mechanisms preventing unauthorized physical access to facilities, equipment, and sensitive areas. 76. Password policy, rules governing the creation, complexity, length, and rotation of passwords to maintain account security. 77. Audit log, a chronological record of system events and user activities, providing evidence for investigation and compliance verification. 78. Log management. Collecting, storing, protecting, and reviewing audit logs to support security monitoring and forensic investigations. CM, Security Information and Event Management, a platform aggregating and analyzing log data to detect security threats in real time. 80. Vulnerability Assessment, a systematic scan and review identifying security weaknesses in systems, applications, and networks. 81. Penetration Testing, authorized simulated attacks used to identify and exploit vulnerabilities before real attackers do. 82. Network Security, controls protecting data confidentiality, integrity and availability as it moves through network infrastructure. 83. Firewall, a network control filtering traffic between segments based on rules, a key perimeter defense control. 84. Encryption, converting data into a coded format to prevent unauthorized reading during storage or transmission. 85. Public Key Infrastructure, a framework managing digital certificates and encryption keys supporting secure communications. 86. Digital Signature, a cryptographic mechanism proving the authenticity and integrity of a message using the sender's private key. 87. Certificate Authority, a trusted entity issuing digital certificates that bind public keys to verified identities. 88. Wireless Security, controls addressing risks specific to wireless networks, including unauthorized access, eavesdropping, and rogue access points. 89. Cloud Computing, delivering IT services over the Internet, including IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, requiring specific audit considerations. SaaS, Software as a Service, a cloud model where software is hosted and managed by the provider, accessed via browser. 91. IaaS, Infrastructure as a Service, a cloud model providing virtualized computing resources, including servers, storage, and networking to more virtualization, creating virtual versions of physical resources such as servers, storage, and networks, enabling more efficient use. 93. Forensics, the process of collecting, preserving, analyzing, and presenting digital evidence for investigation or legal proceedings. Chain of custody, documentation, tracking the handling of digital evidence from collection through presentation to ensure admissibility. 95. Regulatory compliance, meeting legal and industry-specific requirements governing data security, privacy, and IT operations. SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley Act, U.S. legislation requiring public companies to establish internal controls over financial reporting with IT implications. 97. HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, U.S. law requiring safeguards for protected health information. 98. GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, the EU framework establishing privacy rights and data protection requirements for processing personal data. ISO 27001, International Standard defining requirements for establishing, maintaining, and improving an information security management system. 100. CISA CPE, Continuing Professional Education, the 120 hours of professional development required every 3 years to maintain CISA certification.